Good evening, everyone. If this meeting of Monday, July 12th of the Sioux Falls City Council could come to order, please. The roll call, please.
Councilors Aguilar?
Present.
Anderson?
Here.
Brown?
Here.
Entenmann?
Here.
Erpenbach?
Here.
Jameson?
Here.
Litz?
Here.
Rolfing?
Here.
Well, it's good to have everybody here tonight. I'd like to welcome Pastor Dallas Dobbins of the Celebrate Community Church. He will give our invocation tonight. We'd like you all to stand, and then after Pastor Dallas is done, we would like to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father God, we thank you for being here with us, and thank you for your dream for this city, Sioux Falls. You put the falls there and built a community around it, and we just thank you for those humble beginnings and for all the great plans you have for Sioux Falls. I ask your presence and guidance on this council and all the leadership of Sioux Falls. And we ask that our first allegiance would not be to agenda or party, but to your word and your person and who you are. We thank you and we praise you, and only because you loved us first do we love you. We ask your blessing, your providence, and your presence in the name of our Lord and our Savior and your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I could get a motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
So moved. Let's. Second, Anderson.
There's been a motion by Councilor Litz and seconded by Councilor Anderson, Jr. to approve the consent agenda. Any questions or conversation on that? Hearing none, if I could have a vote, please.
Councilors Jameson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Entenmann?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That motion has passed 8-0. Could I get a motion to approve the regular agenda, please?
So moved. Let's. Second, Entenmann.
There's been a motion by Councilor Litz, seconded by Councilor Entenmann, to approve the regular agenda tonight. Is there any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, if I could have a vote, please.
Councilors Jameson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Entenmann?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That motion is also passed 8-0. I'd like to welcome you all here tonight to the City Council meeting. This is an opportunity for anybody in the audience who'd like to give any public comment. We'd like you to keep it to 5 minutes if you don't mind, and please just state your name. We'd also like you to have it not be in regards to a regular agenda item. So, but if there's anybody here who'd like to speak, please come to the podium. Thank you, sir. If you'd state your name.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Mark Cotter with the Office of Public Works. Last week there was a question brought before you that regarded the scrapers at the landfill. Does the landfill own the 6 or 7 scrapers that are running? And the answer is no. We're in a closure project right now. There's a private contractor working very hard. They're moving about 8,000 to 9,000 yards a day. Essentially, once you get a permit to fill garbage to a certain elevation, and then once we reach that elevation, we have to cover it with 3 feet of clay fill and then topsoil. And the contract's about $662,000, and the completion date is about mid-August.
Mr. Cotter, thank you. That was in regards to, again, a citizen who came up last week, thought that the city had bought a bunch of equipment, very expensive, and it sounds like we don't own it.
That's right.
That's right.
Mainly private contractor. We do own 2 scrapers just for the normal daily business at the landfill.
Thanks for taking the time tonight to clarify. You're welcome. Thank you. Anybody else in the audience who'd like to speak? Okay, great. Item number 9, please.
Postpone definitely from June 21st, 2010 meeting, consideration to renew, suspend, or rescind the 2010-11 packaged malt beverage farm winery license for CFJ Properties, Flying J Convenience Store, to be operated at 5201 North Granite Lane.
And could I get a motion, please?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I
Councilor Brown.
I move to not renew 2010-11 packaged malt beverage farm wine license for CFJ Properties Flying J to be operated at 5201 North Granite Lane.
Second, Erpenbach.
There's been a motion by Councilor Brown, seconded by Councilor Erpenbach, not to renew the malt beverage license for CFJ Properties, otherwise known as Flying J. Any comments or commentary, Lori?
All right, thank you. Lori Hogstead with the City Attorney's Office. This item, as Denise noted, is from the meeting of June 21st. And since that meeting, I did have been made aware that this business has been sold to Pilot Corporation. That sale was effective July 1st of 2010. The current applicant from Flying J has submitted a new management plan, which you've all been presented with, and action on the pilot request to either apply for a new license or a transfer, depending on the action taken this evening, will be next Monday night, July 19th. And we do have two representatives here from the Flying J. We have Mike Jones as the general manager and Roger Packer as the district manager. I can certainly answer questions if you have any at this time, or if you would like to speak to either of those gentlemen.
Councilor Anderson, Jr.
Lori, I got some questions on the state laws that govern underage sales
Okay.
and the penalties for that. Reading in some of the emails that we had, it looks, is there any way that we as a council or city can encourage the state's attorney to maybe ramp up those penalties on people that are doing underage sales? And especially to these businesses that are providing the necessary tools, you know, above and beyond in some cases, the tools to make sure these people don't make the mistakes. And they're either totally disregarding those tools for them, or, you know, just laziness, have not, you know, owned up to their part of it. And right now, the way I see it is that even under the threat of losing their job right now, they still are doing the same thing. And I don't feel that management can just stand over the back of their employees and watch them 24/7 as this place is open all that time. And once again, if they have provided the tools so that they can't or shouldn't make this kind of mistake, shouldn't we be looking at the people who are actually making that decision, that are behind the counter, instead of going after the owners?
If your question is if the state's attorney's office can increase the fees on the fines that are
Well, ask for a
Please.
little more severe penalty.
severe penalty?
Because
Okay.
right now, the way I've read the law is that it can go all the way up from a $500 fine to, and maybe this is going to, maybe doing something like this will get the attention of the people that are actually making that decision
Sure.
to not check an ID.
All right. The fines that are set, you're right, begin at $500, and then they go up to, I believe, a maximum of $2,000. Those fines are all set by state statute, as well as the provisions for suspension or revocation of the license. Maybe Gail could add to this, but it would seem to me that we would need to have some laws changed in the legislative session to make this stricter.
Yes, I would say that if the council wanted to get around the safe harbor law, obviously, only the state legislature can change that. Right now, the Department of Revenue is interpreting that law as saying a licensee essentially is safe from revocation or suspension of their license if they've had 2 underage sales in 24 months. And Lori and I had a discussion with some Department of Revenue staff that they're basically interpreting that as it's a kind of a free pass of one a year. Is that correct, Lori?
Right, that's
yeah.
correct.
And if I interpreted it as 2 and 24 months, anything more than that was fair game for revocation or suspension, but the Department of Revenue doesn't view it that way. So they're basically setting the standard in underage sales, which would require a state law change.
Councilor Brown?
A question for City Attorney, if I may. I understand that my motion is not in proper form. For the benefit of all of us, can you explain why it's not in proper form, and then I'll make the new motion?
Well, I'm not a parliamentarian, but I've come to learn that essentially the motion is supposed to be made in the affirmative, like a motion to renew, and then the council member that makes that motion ends up voting against his own motion. It's kind of quirky, but I believe that's the way it usually works.
I will withdraw my motion.
I withdraw my second.
And I would move to renew the 2010-11 packaged malt beverage farm winery license for CFJ Properties Flying J to be operated at 5201 North Granite Lane.
And I would second that, Erpenbach.
Councilor Brown, thank you. There's been Councilor Brown and Councilor Erpenbach, who originally made the motion and then seconded. They've taken away their initial motion and have replaced it with one to renew the malt beverage license for CFJ Properties, otherwise known as Flying J. Councilor Brown made the motion, and again, seconded by Councilor Erpenbach. Any discussion on that motion? Yes.
I do have a couple of questions for the management team of Flying J, if we might, please. I'd like to thank you for giving us the books that you did, showing us that your policies and procedures that you do have. Can you please tell us what happened to the employee that violated your policies?
She was terminated immediately. She didn't finish work there, and then we terminated her from the system.
Okay. And can you explain just a little bit about your training program, if you would, please?
Sure. When we sent the original plan, it was in bullet form and was a half page. All we did is then we took the plan and we made the changes to our system where you have to enter in the picture or person's ID, birth date, from their ID into the computer to make the sale go forward, or it won't go. And we took those 6 bullet forms, and then we took the forms that they came in. There's 6 dividers in the back, the binders that you received. And each one of those is like orientation. Then we put tabs just for your benefit, because not everything in the orientation is beer and tobacco. But the tab takes you just to those tobacco items right away, 2 pages is all. It's not all beer and tobacco. And then the training, there's in the employee handbook just to the beer and tobacco, so you don't have to look through all the... The thing that we did do is just so you can see the extent, because it's the National Association of Convenience Stores tobacco and alcohol training. These pages in this 3rd, 4th, and 5th are back-to-back screenshots of the actual training. It takes about an hour on the computer. It's interactive. And then 10 minutes on the specific South Dakota Flying J laws. And then there's the copy on the back page where she was terminated and some other signs and things. But we wanted you to be able to see that and where it came from, so there's more than just the bullet outline form of it. And we really try, like we mentioned before, to get a more mature, responsible, and conscientious cashier, because that's where all businesses make their money is with their employees. Treat the public the way they want to be treated, follow the policies, or doing what they're supposed to do, and then the business will take care of it.
But your cash register does have the point of sale where you do have to enter in the information now in order for the sale to go forward, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That was something that we increased with this last violation, was before it prompted them to put in, to ask them for the date. Now it will not let them go forward until they enter the date right off of the license. So it will stop the sale right there.
It prompted it before, but now it actually will not allow the sale to be completed.
It stops the transaction there.
Okay.
In the book under the register systems, the first picture was the old system, showing it just says they must be born The next one shows, actually has to have the month, day, and year keyed in, or it won't go forward.
Okay. But you
Gentlemen,
said,
before we continue, could I just get your full name, please?
Michael Jones.
Michael-
Richard Jones.
Michael Jones and
Roger Packer,
Roger, could you spell your last name, please?
P-A-C-K-E-R.
Yeah, thank you, Roger. Counselor Anderson Jr.
I guess on that where you were showing the visuals of the screen, on the first one, and this was done, this was the one that was before
Yeah,
the
this
last
is the old one. It would
violation.
just come up, must be
So
born.
when you start to ring up a beer sale, it says the person must be born before.
That's the old way.
So it actually even prompted you, saying that if the person wasn't born before this certain day. Okay, thank you.
Oh, in both of these violations, it prompted, and they asked the supervisor, in which case the supervisor told them no, and they continued with the sale.
When he stepped away. And that's what the lieutenant brought up last time is,
And so this step hopefully will even stop that from happening, because now it forces them to enter the date.
Mayor, going back to my first question to Gail and to Lori, I guess looking up here, a Class 2 misdemeanor is punishable by a maximum of 30 days in jail or a $500 fine. And that's for some, this is something that I got from you, Gail.
Yes, if
I guess my question on that is, how many people that violate this law are getting this maximum penalty? Are they getting a $100 fine and overnight in jail? And if so, can we send a letter of, request to the state's attorney here in the county to ask for some more time and to up the penalty a little bit, or at least go further into this penalty? Use the
Sure.
tools we have.
certainly the council could contact the state's attorney to request that in these sorts of violations, these sorts of criminal cases, that the state's attorney seek jail time or a stiffer fine. And of course, it's always within the discretion of the state's
Correct.
attorney whether to act on that or not. But that's, fairly within your authority to do that.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Counselor Litz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The idea that the employee did it and the owner is not responsible for that, I don't know if that holds water or not. I mean, I've got employees that don't have a liquor license, but if they make a mistake, I'm on the hook for it. That's the way it is. The other idea that, somehow this business is being sold and that would let them off the hook for this type of thing, I think that, if they had a damaged overhead door, that would damage the business and that would be reflected in the price. And I think that if you have a damaged liquor license, it should also be reflected in the price. Plus that, I know of many other businesses down here that sell liquor every day, and those people are not down here. They do not have 4 violations in 5 years. You know what? I've been down here for, I think this is my 5th year or whatever. I've heard this every year. We go through the same thing, and nothing ever gets done. And so I'm going to stick with the position that I had last time that we were here.
Counselor Brown.
I would encourage you to vote no on this and not renew, because even though our action tonight will not stop beer sales out at Flying J, it's time, I agree with Councilor Litz, that we send a message that we're not tolerating this anymore. Yes, the business is being sold, and the alcohol will continue to be sold there as a result of a new business, and ultimately the state would decide in this case anyway, no matter what we do. And I think, as I said at 4 o'clock, it's a good example of why we need more local control in South Dakota, so we can say this isn't acceptable in Sioux Falls.
Counselor Anderson Jr.
And to reply to Councilman Litz, too, on this, I'm not saying that the owners aren't ultimately responsible, but in this case also, we have to look at the person that's making the decision behind the counter, too, and make them also responsible. I'm not saying that, that we shouldn't send a message tonight, but that message should be to the business owners and to their employees that we're not going to accept this any longer.
Counselor Erpenbach.
This would be a good time for us to think ahead now in terms of our legislative priorities. I think that, I don't know if we need a formal action for that to happen, but I think this is one of those things that we need to push our legislature to make changes on. again, in terms of local control, and again, in terms of that idea of that safe harbor law that Gail has been teaching us about. We don't really have recourse with this. We can say this, we can slap these folks on the wrist, but we don't have anything to say about this. And it all lies in state law. And so that would be the thing that I would encourage us to do as a council, is to think ahead now to the next legislative session, and let's make this one of those items that we push.
Is there anybody, gentlemen, any other comments before we ask anybody in the audience?
We take the privilege to sell alcohol very seriously, and I'd agree with the councilman here that, it does mean more than just an employee. It ripples all the way up through management, and that's why I'm here today, is because we want to make a statement that we're behind this, and we want to do what we need to. I've received calls all the way from our senior vice president of operations to make sure that we're following protocols and doing the things that we can. And I appreciate all the help that we've gotten from the chief of police, from Lori, and different things that we can do to try to improve our game and to be more responsible with that. I don't know that it matters, but it isn't a sale of Flying J, it's a merger, and so the current management structure will stay intact. And, no offense to Mike, but there's a lot of heat with this. And we're going to follow up the best we can, and any input that you give us is great, and we appreciate it.
Is there anybody in the audience who would like to oppose the motion that was made by Councilor Brown? And seconded by, yes. Sir, come on up. Please just state your name, please.
Here. My name is Paul Jennings. Welcome back again. I live here in Sioux Falls at 305 North Hillside Place. A lot of the conversations going tonight has actually changed the tenor of the comments I was about to make. But I think I'm going to offer it from this way. I used to work in C-stores. I've worked over 20 years in public service in some way or shape or form, either in a bank or in a convenience store as a server, as part-time jobs. This is not rocket science, folks. This is not a tough thing to deal with. My last stint in a C-store, it was very easy to comprehend. The state makes it very easy for you, at least at that time. You had a blue strip, you had a red strip, you had a green strip. And if they didn't have that blue strip, they were out of luck. And I will even go as far as to say I declined adults from receiving liquor and alcohol because they, in my mind, were inebriated and shouldn't have walked out there with any more beer in their hands. And I know that, I'm sure Flying J, they're a good corporation. The corporation I worked for, locally owned, was a great corporation. But they take it seriously. And on one side, I feel badly for them that they have to take the heat for this, but they have to take the heat for this. And honestly, the state law does need to be changed. I do agree with you. And I think you're going to see some of that. But you need to, if you're not going to speak only as a body, you need to enlist the people of the city of Sioux Falls to speak up. Use the media, use what other outlets you can, but say, hey, we as a city commission, we have a problem. We need the help of the citizens of Sioux Falls to write letters, to call, to email. You have the power here, folks. Let's use it judiciously. I guess what I would recommend is suspending the license, giving a firm hand to this in the community. And I'm surprised it's allowed to go this far. I really am. And I know it's not this body in this present form that allowed that to happen. But you need to send a direct message. Say as a council, 2 times, you're out. You got one chance. The second time is enough. Maybe it's 3. Who knows what the magical number is. But you can institute all the systems you want, and it's not going to change anything if that person at that point of sale isn't going to fix it. And if the company is not willing to invest the money in making it foolproof, then you have to hold the company accountable. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Jennings.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the audience who would like to oppose the motion? Is there anybody who is in favor of the motion in the audience? Yes, sir. I got that on the record. Thank you. Any other testimony? Yes, Councilor Jameson.
I was wondering if I could ask Gail to give us those 3 options that we have, and now given the idea that this is a merger and not a purchase of the business, does that change one of our options? Could you help us through that? Or Lori? Anybody?
Lori, go ahead.
Well, just to quickly comment on the merger, in our eyes and in the state's eyes, it's considered a sale because the corporation that is taking responsibility for this, whether they're merging the old one or not, they're still changing their corporation. It's still a different company. And so in our eyes, it is a sale, and they have signed affidavits saying they have indeed sold the business. So that's the way that we look at it from the state law angle of it. As far as the options, I guess one option would be to renew the license. One option would be not to renew the license. And if you did choose to recommend suspension or revocation, you would first have to renew in order to have a license to suspend or revoke, because right now that license is actually a 2009-2010, expired June 30th, although they can continue to operate while this process is taking place. Clear? Not?
Very impressive, Lori. Thank you. And Gail, very impressive. I'm glad you're both here.
Confuse you more.
Councilor Anderson, Jr.
Exactly what time period is this going to, if we don't renew, what time period is this really going to affect the business?
All right, that's a good question. It will really be a little over a week, because next Monday night, before you, there are 2 items for the pilot. Actually, there's a restaurant, and that's separate, so we won't even deal with that right now. But if we're just looking at the C-store, there's an item on the agenda to either to transfer the license or to apply for a new license. If this license is not renewed tonight, then as of tomorrow morning, I call them and tell them no more alcohol out of the convenience store until the hearing Monday night. And actually, they have to wait until the state reissues a new license, and that could possibly be next week, Wednesday or Thursday. Those licenses are actually issued by the State Revenue Department. I just send everything in ready to go. They issue them, then they notify me that the license has been issued, the number, et cetera. So I suppose it would be about a 10-day period where they would not be able to sell out of the convenience store.
Thank you.
Okay.
Councilor Brown.
But they can still sell out of the restaurant, right? Because that's a separate license.
Yes, they can still sell out of the restaurant, and the restaurant has beer and wine, and those are on and off sale licenses, meaning they can sell either by the drink or to go, but it would have to be done out of the restaurant only.
Councilor Entman.
I agree with Kenny, with Councilor Anderson. You can make, and as company owners and managers, we make every effort possible to abide by the law, and we have meetings time and time again where we are encouraging our people to do so also. In the same breath, I make it clear to my employees that if they violate the law, not only will they lose their job, but I will recommend that they be charged with an offense according to the crime that they've committed. In other words, we do need to accept responsibility for our own actions at some point in time. And I do believe that they have made an excellent effort here. And it is definitely a controversial issue, I do not like the fact that year after year they keep coming back to you. But as a business owner and as a corporation, they do have policies and procedures at hand where they try to educate their team. So I guess at this point in time, I'm confident that they're going to continue to do it. I would suggest that if it comes to me again, I'm going to be just as adamant as Councilor Litz is here. But, some of these people, they do have to, and quite honestly, I believe it's up to the owners of these companies to go forward with prosecution. Sometimes it's out of sight, out of mind. Hey, we fired the person. We don't want to deal with this. We don't want the publicity to deal with this or any of that kind of stuff. And I think that that's wrong, too. So, that's my 2 cents.
Hearing no more comments on this motion, there has been a motion by Councilor Brown that was seconded by Councilor Erpenbach to renew the packaged malt beverage license for CFJ Properties, otherwise known as the Flying J Convenience Store. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilors Jamison,
No.
Litz.
No.
Rolfing,
No.
Aguilar,
No.
Anderson,
Yes.
Brown,
No.
Intamin,
Yes.
and Erpenbach.
No.
The motion to renew has failed by a vote of 2 to 6. No, carrying the majority of the votes there. So in that case, right now, they will not be renewed unless there's another motion. Hearing none, we will move on. Thank you so much, Lori. Item number 10.
Second reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, approving the release of a permanent drainage easement in Track 6B, Park South, in addition to the City of Sioux Falls in Section 32-T101N-R49W of the 5th PM, Minnehaha County, South Dakota.
Can I have a motion to set the hearing date, please, for Monday, July 19th, 2010?
So move Anderson.
Second, let's.
I'm sorry, I made a mistake.
First reading.
Thank you. The mayor's made a mistake. Thank you. Denise for being here. We need a motion to adopt. Could I get a motion to adopt the...
So move Anderson.
Thank you, Anderson.
Second, let's.
There's been a motion to adopt by Councilor Anderson Jr., seconded by Councilor Litz to adopt this second reading. Is there any commentary on this? Oh, Chad.
Good evening, Chad Hebe with the Engineering Division of Public Works. This drainage easement is located in the northwest quadrant of the intersection of I-229 and Minnesota Avenue. It was granted by plat to the city in 1978 for the construction and maintenance of drainage improvements. In 2006, the city relocated these drainage improvements into a new permanent storm sewer easement obtained from the current property owner. The city no longer has a need for this easement and is recommending its release.
Councilor Jameson?
Chad, if the releasing this easement, how will this affect the development of 49th Street through onto Minnesota?
It will not. The drainage improvements have been moved to approximately, if you're looking up at the map there, on the east side of Duluth Avenue. So this will not in any way affect the construction of 49th Street.
Not to change the subject too much, but what is the plan for 49th Street? Just, do you know that off the top of your head?
Yes. In the very near future, 49th Street, the construction will start from Minnesota Avenue through the intersection of Duluth.
Okay, thank you.
And then there's an item later that will talk about vacating
Okay.
existing Grange.
Any other comments or questions, Chad? Hearing none, if we could have a vote, please, on item number 10.
Councilors Jamison,
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Aguilar,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Intamin,
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
Thank you. That is passed 8-0. Item number 11, please.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, providing supplemental appropriations, facilities management, $880,300, and engineering, $265,000. I'm messing up.
It's a birthday.
Thank you very much, Denise. Now, we should set a hearing, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Could I get a motion, please, to set a hearing date and the second reading for Monday, July 19th?
So move Anderson.
Second, Etterman.
Councilor Anderson Jr. has made a motion to set the hearing date and the second reading for Monday, July 19th. It was seconded by Councilor Entman. Is there any discussion on this item? Mr. Crowder?
Good evening again, Mayor and City Council. This is the work of, we had Amy Ladonsky lead a team that was made up of multiple city departments, and essentially right after the federal stimulus program came through, that a key part of the Department of Energy's piece of that stimulus, where they were able to actually give direct allocations to the cities based on populations. We got a direct allocation of $1.5 million. We hired McKinstry. They came to town with a team of engineers and put together about 120 opportunities for energy reduction and conservation. We had this team of staff get together and select the highest priority, fastest payback projects that they could, and these 25 that are on this memo that is also attached to the agenda lay that out. A lot of lighting improvements, a lot of controls, whether it's for HVAC. Also includes new boilers at the City Hall. They've been in badly need of repair for upgrades. And then last, this will actually complete the change-out program for the traffic signals from incandescent bulbs to LEDs. We've got about 30 intersections remaining of 240. So there's a lot of really good energy reduction conservation projects that will spend down this $1.5 million. Any other questions?
On a lighter note, you really need more hot air down there. Oh, excuse me.
You're out of order. Councilor Litz, did you?
I just thought that keeping the mayor and Mr. Cotter warm efficiently down at City Hall should be on our priority list here, so.
Now that's more appropriate. Councilor Litz, thank you. Any other comments? Thank you, Mr. Cotter. There has been a motion by Councilor Anderson Jr., seconded by Councilor Entman, to set a second reading for Monday, July 19th. Do we have a vote, please?
Councilors Jameson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Intiman?
Yes.
Erfenbach?
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Item number 12, please.
A resolution vacating the public right-of-way of West 23rd Street from South Minnesota Avenue to South Spring Avenue.
Can I get a motion to adopt, please?
Move to approve, Jamison.
Second Anderson.
There's been a motion by Councilor Jameson, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. To adopt item number 12. Mr. Chad?
Good evening again, Chad Heavey. This section of 23rd Street is improved. The petitioner is Jerry Larson of Medical X-Ray Center. He plans to remove the existing structures and expand his parking area. The petitioner has complied with our right-of-way vacation policy and is present tonight to answer any questions. A neighborhood meeting was held on May 18th. No neighbors attended, and I am not aware of any opposition to this proposed vacation. Engineering has no opposition to the vacation.
Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak to this item? Can I have a roll call vote on this, please?
Councilors Jameson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Intiman?
Yes.
Erfenbach?
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Thank you. Item number 13, please.
A resolution vacating the public right-of-way on the north-south alley in Block 7, Bennett's First Edition, between the south property line of Lot 8, Block 7, Bennett's First Edition, and the south right-of-way line on West 11th Street.
Can I have a motion to adopt, please?
So moved, Litz.
Second Anderson.
There's been a motion by Councilor Litz, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. to adopt item number 13. Chad?
This right-of-way is unimproved and is a portion of an alley south of 11th Street between Duluth Avenue and Spring Avenue. The petitioner is the City of Sioux Falls. If vacated, this parcel will be a part of the redevelopment into a multifamily mixed-use structure by St. Joseph Catholic Housing. A utility easement will not be retained. The petitioner has complied with our policy and is present tonight to answer any questions. Engineering has no opposition to this vacation.
Councilor Litz.
I was just curious, Chad, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just curious, Chad, does VOA get half of it and the developer get the other half, or is the whole thing going towards the housing project?
The city owns both sides of this right-of-way, so
Oh, okay.
we will, if you could, the city owns both sides. We do not own, though, the south portion of that we do not own. That's why the vacation is just to that property line, and so the city will have the property.
Very good. Thank you, Chad.
Anyone in the audience who'd like to speak to this item? Seeing no one, could we have a roll call vote, please, on item 13?
Councilors Jameson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Intiman?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That item has passed 8-0. Item 14, please.
A resolution declaring the necessity to repair, rebuild Portland cement concrete sidewalk in front of and abutting various streets and avenues in the downtown area of the city of Sioux Falls, and assessing the cost to each lot or tract of land benefiting nearby.
Can I have a motion to adopt, please?
So moved, Litz.
Second, Jameson.
It's been a motion by Councilor Litz, seconded by Councilor Jameson to adopt item number 14. Any comments, Chad?
In accordance with South Dakota Codified Law 9-46, adjoining property owners are responsible for the repair of sidewalk. The City of Sioux Falls does have an annual sidewalk inspection program that is based on this law. The goal of the program is to inspect all sidewalks in the city every 10 to 12 years. The area we're discussing tonight was inspected in 2008 and is the downtown area. 150 letters were sent out notifying the adjacent property owners of the needed repairs. 43 of these repairs have been completed, which is approximately 30%. And tonight's resolution of necessity addresses the remaining 106 repairs. Typically, we see 60 to 70% of these repairs being completed by the property owners, and we're at half of that with 30%. The construction estimate to complete the repairs is $45,000.
Councilor Anderson, Jr.
Now, Chad, I take it that we're going to hire a contractor to go out and make these repairs?
Yes,
And then we'll assess the property owners and...
We're going to let the contract here in the near future complete the work this fall, and then we'll come back to this group in the spring to do the assessment.
Councilor Brown.
Chad, what does Portland cement concrete mean?
That's just the concrete.
Portland cement? Is that
Portland, it's the type of cement.
Okay.
There's a Portland cement, there's a masonry cement. It's concrete.
Good stuff.
And if I may, I was requested to bring some photos of things that we consider in need of repair. On your screen, you'll see this is an example of a vertical separation where you can see if there's a 3/4 of an inch or greater gap between two panels. We mark it, request that it's repaired. Here's an example of a horizontal where you got a large crack down the middle. Same thing, 3/4 of an inch. We consider that need to be repaired. Here's an example of sidewalk missing. Here's some spalling. If any panel has 50% or more that's spalled, we require that to be repaired. Multiple cracking, same thing with that. And then finally, here's an example where there is just sidewalk missing. So, and the next item also addresses sidewalks.
Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak to this item? Seeing no one, if I could have a roll call vote, please.
Councilors Jameson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
yes?
Intiman?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Thank you. Item 15, please.
A resolution declaring the necessity to repair, rebuild Portland cement concrete sidewalk in front of and abutting various streets and avenues in the city of Sioux Falls, and assessing the cost to each lot or tract of land benefiting thereby.
Can I have a motion to adopt, please?
So move, Anderson.
Second, Litz.
It's been a motion by Councilor Anderson, Jr., seconded by Councilor Litz to adopt item number 15. Chet?
This resolution will address 64 complaints we've received from citizens on adjoining sidewalks that have had issues and need to be repaired. Typically, we will receive the complaint, give them a given amount of time to make the repairs, If not, then we move forward with a construction project. This is what we're doing here, and the estimate to complete this work is $40,000.
Councilor Urbanbach.
Chad, remind us how long the property owner had from the time you told them that there was a complaint or a problem with their sidewalk? How long did they have to fix it themselves?
Typically, we'll give them anywhere from 3 to 4 months. If we get the complaint in, let's say, October, we really can't give them till November. We usually then will give them till, let's say, May or June. So a lot has to do with the timing, but typically we have to give them. State law doesn't dictate how much time we give them, but it's a financial item they have to deal with. And several years ago when we were in the downtown area, we were criticized because we did not give enough time. And so I don't know what the magic number is, but we tend to give them 3, 4, 5 months to complete the repairs.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Entman.
Chad, how are they notified that they need the repair work done again?
When we go out and do the inspection, if it needs to be repaired, we'll mark it with some pink or orange spray paint. We will leave a door hanger then, and then we'll come back into the office and then send them a formal letter giving them the completion date we want it done by, and then some other information as to who they could hire, the contractor requirements, permit requirements, and so on and so forth. And we do have quite a lot of information on our website regarding the city sidewalks.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Urbanbach.
One other question, Chad. You said on the previous one how many letters went out. How many letters went out on this one?
There are 64.
There are 64, and none of these repairs were done then? Is that
Correct.
right?
And we've had several people call us and just say we're not making the repairs ourselves for whatever reason. So they're relying on us to get it done. So
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak to this item? Seeing no one, can I have a roll call vote, please, on item number 15?
Councilors Jamison?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar? Yes. Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Intimate?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Item number 16, please.
A resolution authorizing the City of Sioux Falls to give to the South Dakota Department of Corrections 82-inch diameter willow trees.
Can I have a motion to adopt, please?
So move Anderson.
Second, Litz.
There's been a motion by Councilor Anderson Jr., seconded by Councilor Litz, to adopt item number 16. Chad?
These willow trees are located in a city-owned drainage way in the southeast corner of East 41st Street and Bonson Avenue. The city and the Department of Corrections have entered into this type of agreement in the past. The South Dakota Department of Corrections will remove the trees and then use them for a sweat lodge at the penitentiary. These willow trees do impede maintenance for us and impede the drainage function of this channel.
Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak to this item? Ma'am, thank you. If you just please state your name.
My name is Mary Montoya, and I'm the volunteer for the Native American inmates at the penitentiary. Actually, we'll be using these to rebuild 2 sweat lodges. If you're not familiar with sweat lodges, they're basically like the church for the Native American inmates. It does serve a very important function in their spirituality, making them better citizens when they get out. Thank you.
Mary, thank you. No other comments on this. If I could just get a roll call vote, please, on item number 16.
Councilors Jamison?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Intimate?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Thank you. Item number 17, please.
A proposed resolution vacating the public right-of-way on a portion of South Grange Drive from South Minnesota Avenue to South Duluth Avenue, as shown on Exhibit A.
Can I have a motion to adopt item 17, please?
So moved, Erpenbach.
Oh, hang on, I'm sorry.
How come I jump on him when he makes mistakes?
Thanks, Denise, for coaching me. We will set a hearing date for Monday, August 9th, 2010 on item number 17.
And that would be my motion, Erpenbach.
Second, Aguilar.
It's been a motion by Councilor Urbanbach, seconded by Councilor Aguilar, to set a hearing date for Monday, August 9th, 2010 at 7 p.m. for item 17. Any discussion? Chad?
This section of Grange Drive is improved. If you look up on the map here, you'll see what the new 49th Street will look like. That's in green. And then this item is the proposed vacation of what's in yellow. The petitioner is Frank Howe with Golden Triangle LLC and Midwestern Land Development. The petitioner plans to use this vacated right-of-way for future development. A partial utility easement will be retained. Once the construction of 49th Street is complete, from Minnesota to Duluth, this right-of-way will no longer be needed. Engineering has no opposition to this vacation.
Councilor Jameson.
Chad, could we back up one slide? Yeah, those businesses to the west there, west of Duluth Avenue, will they just need to reconfigure their entrance once
The one driveway there that's farthest north will be rebuilt as part of the project.
And no hassles by them? They're good?
No, we've had a good relationship, working relationship with all the individuals out here.
Okay, thanks.
Hearing no more discussion, if I could just have a vote, please, to set a hearing date for Monday, August 9th, 2010 for item number 17.
Councilors Jameson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Intiman?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Thank you. Denise has been helping me tonight after 2 mistakes by the mayor. I've been informed by Councilor Rolfing that he has an announcement he'd like to make in regards to Denise.
Yeah, I think with all the corrections she's been able to make, we need a correction. I think there's a year that's been added on to her age today. So I think we need to, maybe we even should sing. I don't know. Can somebody start us out or whatever?
Happy
Chairman Jameson, is
birthday
that
to
appropriate?
you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Denise.
Happy birthday to you.
Let's make sure that's properly recorded in the minutes, too.
Yes, yeah.
A little levity at the city council does never hurt.
You
So
can't
thank
have that.
Happy birthday, Denise.
Yes.
No other discussion. If I could have a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved, Liz.
Second, Anderson.
There's been a motion by Councilor Litz, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. to adjourn tonight's meeting of July 12, 2010. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Councilors Jameson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Intiman?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
That is passed 8-0. Thank you, everybody.